Welcome to In Conversation, folks. We come to you from Washington, D.C. My name is Ramesh
And I'm Aastha Verma.
And they say you had a great fun last weekend. What was it?
You know, I had possibly one of the most important events in my life ever happen over the weekend.
What was that?
You know, many of you know that Asha Bhosle was in town for the concert.
Yes.
And Asha Bhosle, of course, is a living legend. I mean, I was trying to find an equivalent American celebrity, and the closest I could come up with was Aretha Franklin. Right?
Yes, very
right?
true.
Aretha Franklin is regal in her presence. I mean, she is the queen, right?
Yeah.
And when you think of diva and you think of music and a legend, she's what comes to mind. That is who Asha Bhosle is the equivalent of, I think, you know, for Indian people. And I went to her concert, and because my mom was one of the organizers of the show, I got to meet her backstage.
Wow.
And I have to tell you, she is the most amazing, down-to-earth woman. I never expected her to be just so human, and she was. And, you know, she did simple things like she fixed my mom's sari, she fixed my sari because it was, you know, not quite perfect. And I even got to sing for her, if you can believe it. Of course,
Whoa.
I did a terrible job, and my mom will yell at me, I didn't practice. And she told me so. She said, you need more practice. But what an honor it was to have that opportunity to sit with her. In my life, I will always look back and think I got to spend time in the same room with someone of her caliber. And I will take that away with me for the rest of my life. And I have my mom to thank. And I'm actually quite grateful that even though I might be considered part of the transient generation, the generation that is, you know, 1 foot back in India and 1 foot here, I know the significance of her as an artist and of what she represents about India. And what I realize is that there are many children that are born today who don't really understand her and understand what she represents. So in my own small way, I'm hoping to carry that forward. What an amazing thing.
All the sisters and the brothers, that Mangeshkar family, they are...
incredible.
Yes, that's a singing family.
And she loves to perform. I have to tell you, she was on stage dancing. She was having a great time.
How was the performance overall?
I think, you know, she's 76 years old. People in the audience forget because of how she reminded them of their youth. You know, R.D. Burman songs. She sang all R.D. Burman songs. And so my parents were reflecting when they were in their teenage years and the songs and all the moments. And the fact is, she's 76 now, and she was on that stage. She sang her heart out. She was tired. You could see that she's getting older. But she had no less verve and pep. And if she could have kept on going, I think she would have. She loves that music herself.
I have been to Asha Bhosle's concert, but that was at Kennedy Center. And at that time also, she was like 72, 73. But, you know, I mean, I appreciate what she and her sister, Lata Mangeshkar, have done for the music industry. I mean, they were the pioneers.
They were the pioneers. I think you said it right. They're left from the original batch.
Yeah.
And the, you know, one day we will look back at them as shaping India's history.
And you know what I did over the weekend?
What did you do?
You know, weddings have a number of parties, so I attended one wedding, but a few parties on it, you know. No, but I want to tell you, this was one of the weddings which is one of the top 5 in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
This was a very good wedding. The pure joy of wedding was enjoyed by the daughter and the mother. I mean, you could see it in their faces. This is what they want.
This is it.
And they got it, you know. Well, moving on, folks, our first story is from Washington Post. It appears like FDA has drawn out plans for the next 10 years for your salt consumption. First, the fact, 77% of the salt that you take in is from the processed foods. But when you make your own food, you only add in about 5 or 6% of the salt. The processed foods industry has really increased in the last 30 years, and that's why there was a lot of hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, and many other things related to salt that have occurred. And now the government has finally realized that, no, we need to issue regulations and force it down.
I agree, because what has happened over the course of the Industrial Revolution is people don't eat local produce anymore. Produce has to travel. And to make it travel farther and to be able to get to markets outside of your radius, you have to ship it.
That's
and
right.
that's where canning a lot of your vegetables and fruits, was meant to preserve, but also meant to ship. And so consequently, that salt was needed to preserve the food so that it could travel longer. Well, now I think we've gotten carried away with that concept, and I think our taste buds have changed over the years to expect and anticipate more salt in our foods, because that's what we've gotten used to eating. So, the thing that I've done, at least at home, is you can buy now this 33 or 50% less sodium salt.
Yeah.
And it's less salty salt. So you can use the same amount, but you're actually getting less sodium in your system, and it works.
Yeah, but then, people have not been able to reduce the salt content because of the processed food. 77% of your salt comes through that way.
You can't avoid it.
So what they are doing now is they're going to regulate it. Of course, no one knows how it's going to happen yet. For instance, in the city of New York, Mayor Bloomberg announced from 1st of January, everybody will reduce 25% of salt in their products. How do you regulate something like that? So that will be the battle over the next few weeks. But this is something I think is very good. The sugar industry, particularly all these manufacturers, these cookies and cakes and the others, have also been using too much sugar. But lately, voluntarily, they've been trying to reduce that. They have come up with this new sugar called stevia. I don't know if you've heard of it.
The stevia plant is supposed to taste like sugar, kind of like the sweeteners, but it's made from plants, so it's probably better for you.
But they say it's 30,000 times sweeter than the regular sugar, and you need a lot less, and that's precisely why the Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, and some of the other companies, they are trying to make use of that.
But you have to be careful, because I'll give you an example. Like I grew up with drinking tea. My father would always put 2 big spoons of sugar, right?
Yeah.
So now they tell you, well, 1 equal packet is equal to about 2 spoons of sugar. What does my father do?